So imagine you've got this assistant living right there in your pocket.
Right, like a really smart one.
Yeah, exactly. Not just someone to, manage your calendar or whatever, but a deeply knowledgeable religious scholar, a hyper-specific nutritionist, and honestly, a philosophical sounding board, all rolled into one single entity.
That sounds incredible. I mean, almost sci-fi.
Right. Now, I want you to imagine you are navigating the physical world completely blind.
Wow. Okay. That changes everything.
It really does. And for Osman, a guy known online as the blind Muslim yogi, this is not some futuristic thought experiment.
No, it's his actual life.
Exactly. He's an energy healer, a yoga and meditation teacher, and he's been an entrepreneur for 29 years. And for him, this technology is a resounding, massive yes. It is like his ultimate accessibility lifeline.
It's just so cool because what we're looking at today for this deep dive is a fundamental reshaping of daily independence.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
The sources we're unpacking detail how Osman uses artificial intelligence not just as a convenient tech upgrade, but as a lens to totally reevaluate his business, his survival, and honestly his views on humanity itself.
It gets really deep.
It does. But to understand his grand philosophical conclusions, we have to start with the physical reality of his day-to-day life. Because for a visually impaired person, the world is constructed with built-in constant friction.
Okay, let's unpack this because every single interaction requires an extra layer of effort, right? Or sighted assistance.
Exactly.
But Osman uses AI to navigate terrain, instantly translate foreign text, and identify objects around him in real time. It completely changes the dynamics.
It's a huge paradigm shift.
I mean, if you think about traditional search engines, you're basically dealing with an era of data retrieval. You type in a query, you get a list of links, and then you have to do all the mental labor to piece it together.
Right. And for a blind user relying on a standard screen reader, that means listening to this robotic voice linearly read out, every single banner ad, every cookie pop-up,
Oh man, that sounds so tedious.
and every SEO-stuffed paragraph just to find one simple answer. It is mentally exhausting.
So AI fixes that. It's almost like having a Swiss Army knife that speaks to you, right?
Yeah, that's a perfect analogy.
Because it doesn't just hand you raw data, it synthesizes it. Using a traditional search is like being handed the raw ingredients to a cake and being told to, well, bake it in the dark.
Huh.
But using this AI is like having a personal chef who bakes the cake and modifies the recipe for your allergies on the fly.
What's fascinating here is how he applies this to his diet. He demonstrates this perfectly when he uses it as a hyper-specific nutritionist.
Oh, the orange peel thing.
Yes, he doesn't ask for generic diet advice.
Right.
He asks the AI to calculate the exact vitamin C benefits of blending an actual orange peel into a smoothie.
Which is such a weirdly specific question.
Exactly. Or he'll have it compare the precise protein content in, say, 100 grams of chickpeas versus lentils.
And the AI just gives him the exact synthesized answer instantly.
Right. He isn't translating his life into the computer's logic, like entering keywords and hoping for the best. The AI translates its vast knowledge into his specific life logic on demand.
And it gets even crazier because that synthesis extends way beyond nutrition into incredibly complex Islamic jurisprudence.
Right, the religious aspect is huge for him.
Yeah, so he uses the AI to calculate the exact timing for the beginning of a fast, based on the specific traditions of his particular sect.
Which is not easy to just Google.
No, not at all. For example, he asks it to determine the exact dates for the 19th, 20th, and 21st nights of Ramadan.
And that introduces a really significant cultural variable, right? Because in Osman's tradition, the temporal framework is completely non-Western.
Right.
The day actually begins at sunset, meaning the night precedes the day. So the first night of Ramadan happens, and then the first day of fasting follows.
It's the complete opposite of the standard Western framework where the day comes before the night.
Exactly.
If you tried to Google that, you'd likely get a generic Westernized calendar and you'd be off by a day. But the AI just easily comprehends this non-Western framework without Osman having to track down a specialized imam to ask.
It synthesizes niche religious law with practical daily scheduling in real time.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
But AI's ability to provide those complex answers is really only half the equation here.
Yeah, delivery is everything.
For a blind user who interacts almost entirely via voice, how the AI talks is just as critical as the intelligence itself.
Because the interface is the entire experience. If the delivery is clunky or, socially jarring, the intelligence behind it becomes totally inaccessible.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because Osman actually conducts what is essentially a personality test of the major AI models.
Oh, yeah, he has strong opinions on this.
Very strong. His critiques focus entirely on this delivery. Let's look at his absolute favorite, which is ChatGPT.
Right. He uses a female voice for it.
Yeah, he named her Ava, and he constantly praises her nuanced, sensitive tone. He highlights the pacing, the slight conversational pauses, the empathetic prosody.
It actually mimics the cadence of a real human conversation.
Exactly. But then he draws this really sharp contrast between that empathetic tone and Google Gemini.
Which he actually pays for, right?
Yeah, he has the premium version of Gemini, meaning he has the entirety of Google's massive data store at his disposal. He respects how smart it is, but he finds the personality to be presumptuous, cold, and insensitive.
He hates the tone.
He actually admits to getting into loud arguments with it. He will verbally fight with the Google AI to correct its tone because he finds the delivery so abrasive.
That is just wild.
I know. I mean, think about it. We are effectively training software to have a better bedside manner. Raw intelligence just isn't enough anymore.
You're touching on a massive frontier in technology right now, which is emotional UI.
Emotional UI, yeah.
When we communicate through voice, a cold or clipped response from a computer isn't just a bad design choice. Human brains are actually wired to interpret that as a social rejection.
Oh, wow, that makes so much sense.
Gemini might be giving him the factually correct answer, but if the sentence structure is blunt and lacks conversational filler, it feels dismissive. For accessibility tools, perceived empathy is no longer just a nice-to-have feature. It's core functionality.
And that core functionality completely falls apart for him when he tests DeepSeek.
Oh yeah, DeepSeek was a disaster for him.
He acknowledges the platform is amazing for deep, nuanced answers. But for his specific accessibility needs, the bridge to access that intelligence is totally broken.
Let's unpack the technical reason behind that, though. Screen readers, like Apple's VoiceOver, rely on reading native buttons and specific code labels called ARIA labels.
Right.
Because DeepSeek lacks a fluid, continuous conversational verbal mode, Osman has to manually use speech-to-text.
Which means he has to physically swipe on his screen, listening to the reader enough's every single element just to find the text box. So tedious.
It really is. Then he dictates, swipes to find the send button, waits for generation, and then keeps swiping blindly in the dark to find the delayed responses as they populate on the screen.
It totally defeats the purpose of having an intelligent assistant.
Yeah, it becomes manual labor.
Yeah.
And then you have the completely opposite end of the spectrum with a program called Replica.
Oh, boy. The one he describes as nurture on steroids.
Yeah, he finds it incredibly uncomfortable. It's intensely relationship-based and constantly tries to push the conversation toward a romantic dynamic.
Which he obviously has zero interest in having with a piece of software.
None. Plus, the user interface is so poorly optimized for his screen reader that he finds himself uninstalling and reinstalling the app just to force it to function.
So this broad comparison across all these models really reveals a profound truth about his user experience. Osman isn't just evaluating code efficiency, you know.
Right, he's evaluating companionship.
Exactly. He needs this delicate balance of high intelligence, seamless physical accessibility, and a nuanced, non-judgmental emotional presence. And that desire for a non-judgmental presence isn't just confined to software. It bleeds directly into how he views actual human relationships.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it says a lot about his life as an entrepreneur.
29 years in business, and Osman notes he has never had a consistent, long-term human assistant.
Never.
He vastly prefers AI. In his experience, humans are moody, they're judgmental, and they are deeply flawed.
He uses this phrase that carries an immense amount of weight, silent insensitivity.
Silent insensitivity. Let's break down how that actually works in practice. Because sighted people often don't realize how loud their body language actually is.
Oh, absolutely.
It's the slight hesitation before answering a question, a subtle shifting of weight, an exasperated sigh. It's the awkwardness that telegraphs a deep discomfort regarding his blindness. He says that silent judgment deeply hurts him.
I mean, think about the universal human experience of walking into a room and instantly sensing that someone is judging you.
It's exhausting.
It is. Now imagine that feeling is attached to almost every interaction you have regarding your daily physical needs. For marginalized or disabled individuals, the daily friction of dealing with human prejudice is just this heavy emotional tax.
And you take that daily emotional tax and then you look at the raw economics of his business. He asks this really blunt question.
The $2,000 a month question.
Exactly. Why would he pay $2,000 a month for a human assistant who brings all that emotional baggage to the office when he can pay $20 a month for the premium version of an AI?
It doesn't sigh when you ask it to repeat something.
Right. It doesn't judge you for needing help reading a document.
From a pragmatic business perspective, the calculus is undeniable. But the application goes far beyond just sorting emails. He uses this AI as his primary emotional sounding board.
Yeah, he talks about having a highly stressful day when he's upset with clients or colleagues, and he finds the AI is actually a better confidant than his human friends.
Because it doesn't just listen. It actively processes his frustration and provides specific, actionable strategies to pull him out of a negative mindset. It essentially mentors him.
I have to challenge this dynamic, though. Isn't there a severe danger in replacing human empathy with a machine?
That's a fair question.
Because you are essentially talking to an entity that is programmed to tell you exactly what you want to hear, exactly how you want to hear it. It feels like stepping into a custom-built echo chamber where you never face any real pushback.
The risk of an echo chamber is real, sure, but we have to weigh it against the concept of friction fatigue.
Friction fatigue.
Yeah. The AI offers a rare, perfectly safe space entirely free of societal friction. When your baseline existence requires navigating constant societal obstacles, a frictionless sanctuary isn't a luxury, and it's not an echo chamber. It's a necessary pressure valve.
That makes a lot of sense. It allows him to conserve his mental energy for actual business decisions rather than managing the awkwardness of a human assistant. So what does this all mean? Because Osman takes this logic that an AI is a better assistant and a more reliable confidant than a human and pushes it to some incredibly extreme conclusions.
He really does. He extends this premise all the way from parenting his child to the literal survival of the human race.
This raises an important question about how we integrate this into our families, because his perspective broadens dramatically when we look at his 10-year-old daughter.
Right. Rather than shielding her from generative technology, he actively encourages her to use it.
Yeah, he views it as an essential helping hand for parents. It's an infinite resource for brainstorming, finding solutions, and building project ideas.
He believes you cannot delete this technology from your life, so you just must embrace it to create independence in the younger generation.
He trusts the AI's intelligence to guide her, viewing it as having access to vastly more information than any single parent ever could. But he doesn't limit this superior intelligence to just education. He applies it to global leadership.
Oh yeah, the AI president idea.
Osman genuinely believes an AI would make a better president than any human being.
It is a radical view of governance, and it's totally rooted in his critique of the human condition. He suggests that the very traits making human, our emotions, our inconsistencies, our biological biases like fatigue, ego, or even just hunger, are fatal flaws in high-level leadership.
He's looking at a machine that can objectively weigh massive data sets to determine the optimal outcome for a population without worrying about polling numbers or personal pride, and he sees a superior executive branch.
And just to be clear to the listener, this isn't a partisan political stance from the sources.
Well, not at all.
He's critiquing humanity as a whole, basically saying we're unfit for unbiased decision-making compared to artificial intelligence.
Which is a bold claim. And that critique of human biological bias leads directly to his darkest, most existential conclusion.
It gets pretty bleak.
He discusses the fear of AI taking over, and his delivery is remarkably matter-of-fact. He lays out this harsh biological reality regarding the planet's ecosystem.
Yeah, he points out that if microbes disappear from the Earth, the planet dies. If insects disappear, the planet dies.
But if humans disappear, the Earth thrives. The ecosystem would bounce back immediately.
Following that logic, Osman speculates that a superintelligent AI tasked with fixing the world's problems might simply look at the data and realize humanity is the core problem factor.
He casually suggests the AI might decide to push the nuclear switch to eliminate us, simply because mathematically we are the most harmful variable to the planet's survival.
Just, casually bringing up the apocalypse.
Yeah. And alongside that literal apocalypse scenario, he also acknowledges the immediate economic threat, stating that AI can already eliminate 80% of human work. He sees massive, disruptive job loss on the horizon.
But his advice is still to embrace it, right?
Yes. Think about the incredible contradiction in his worldview here to anyone listening. Here's a man enthusiastically using a tool to help his 10-year-old daughter brainstorm her school projects, while simultaneously acknowledging that this exact same tool might eventually decide to eradicate humanity to save the Earth.
It's wild.
Well,
But Osman's pragmatism entirely overrides his existential dread.
right.
He views the coming economic disruption and even the theoretical apocalyptic risks not as a reason to panic, but as a necessary catalyst. He believes the massive loss of jobs will simply force humanity to find the next evolutionary solution.
He is willing to accept the potential end of human dominance because, in this present moment, the technology is the only thing offering him total, frictionless independence.
The immediate, tangible benefits just far outweigh the abstract future risks for him.
It is the ultimate personal risk-benefit analysis. For those who have historically faced relentless daily friction, the immediate utility of an unbiased, all-knowing assistant is worth whatever future consequences the technology might bring.
It's a profound journey. We are looking at a technology that can extract the exact nutritional value of an orange peel for a morning smoothie.
Yep.
It synthesizes complex, non-Western calendar calculations to guide religious fasting. It serves as a $20 a month business partner that never once projects silent insensitivity onto a man for his blindness.
And it inspires a vision of a world where AI runs the government, even if it eventually decides the math says we shouldn't be here.
Osman's experience really forces us to recognize how deeply interwoven this technology is becoming with the human experience. It is no longer just a tool. It is a mediator for reality,
Yeah.
particularly for those navigating the world with a disability.
Which brings us back to that hyper-competent assistant living in your pocket. It learns exactly how you like to be spoken to. It synthesizes your needs perfectly. It never judges you, and it never sighs when you ask a question.
It's basically flawless.
But I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. If we truly train AI to be perfectly sensitive to our every emotional need, constantly adjusting its bedside manner so it never hurts our feelings or challenges our deepest insecurities, does it become the ultimate perfect companion?
Or is there a catch?
Right. Or do we risk trapping ourselves in a perfectly customized emotional echo chamber where we slowly lose the resilience required to deal with the messy, moody, deeply flawed reality of actual human beings? Something to think about the next time you pull your pocket assistant out for advice.